Hi everybody, welcome back once again. And today we're going to have a little chat about CPUs. Hi guys, welcome back to Paul's PCs. I know what you're thinking. I've actually managed to get more than one video uploaded this month. What I say, it's an early Christmas miracle. So this is going to be a bit of more of a discussion based video. I am going to throw some metrics up at the end. But if you want to carry on doing something, just minimise it because you'll pretty much get the same amount of information from me without having to look at my face. So unless you've been hiding under a rock somewhere or have only just taken an interest in computing, we've had several major releases from all the big contenders in the last few months. We've had new graphics cards being released from Nvidia, not that you can get your hands on one. We've just had new CPUs launched from AMD, not that you can get your hands on one. And we should have an upcoming launch of AMD's new graphics cards as well. And I'm pretty willing to bet that no matter what measures they put in place, we're going to have exactly the same issue. You're not going to be able to get your hands on one. So, with all that in mind, I'm going to give you today my recommendations for the best CPU to buy right now. Let's make it short and sweet. It's the same CPU I recommended last year. It's the 2600X. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are a lot of people that will probably disagree with this, but hold on, hear me out. So obviously with all the new CPU launches that have happened in the last year, we've got some amazing processors from Intel. We've had some even more amazing processors just launched from AMD with their 5000 series. So why on earth would I be recommending a CPU that is nearly getting on for 3 years old? Well, I've got a very good answer for that, and that is its price. Now, most of us that are spending out on a PC system, although everybody on YouTube and everybody else likes to talk about having the best of the best, and there are plenty of people on forums and Facebook groups that have got oodles of money showing off their 3090s with their 10900Ks, or they've just picked up a 5950X for those who managed to get them. They don't really represent the large majority, the common folk of the PC gaming world in any way, shape or form. Now, these are the elites who have got oodles and oodles of cash.
Okay, everybody just calm down.
So most of us will tend to be buying a PC for gaming that is under $1,000, under £1,000. In fact, even that can be quite steep for some. So this is why I could only possibly recommend one CPU out of the bunch right now, being the 2600X, because it's just so cheap. The performance that you get from a mid-range CPU like a 2600X for a little over £100 right now, or probably a little over $100, I think it's around $130, $140. It's amazing. The next step up in either an Intel or AMD variant is either an i5 10500, 10400, which will perform better than the 2600X, or the 3600, which is around £190, $180, $190. Also, it does perform better than a 2600X. However, is it worth that extra price increase when you consider the graphics and the rest of the system that you're going to be pairing with it in that price range? And that is why I think this is the best choice. Now, another reason for my recommendation is what you're going to pair it with. Now, there are obviously on both sides some great motherboards, some great CPUs available, but we're going to focus on that budget range. So you can get a very, very good B450 board for under £100. Why a B450, not a B550? Well, once again, because we're talking in the budget range, the B450 board is still going to support the next generation of CPUs. In fact, if you're buying a 2600X with a B450, you've got fair few options for upgrades down the line. You're going to be able to get a 3000 series or a 5000 series CPU and get some major uplifts in performance later on should you want to do that. So that's the first choice, is upgrade path, which is something that you will not get buying Intel at any level. In fact, to be comparative, you're going to be looking at an A520. I think that's what the board is. I may have got that wrong. But yeah, for a comparable price to a good B450 board, you're not going to get a good level Intel motherboard. And also, even if you did manage to purchase a good level Intel motherboard, it's a complete dead end. There is no upgrade path. Okay, so let's get a few performance metrics to kind of support my claims here. So if we have a look at, just for argument's sake, some 3D Mark results, I know that this is not particularly overall indicative of your gaming performance, but it is something that we've got that we can measure one GPU and one CPU together and make comparisons. So because we're looking in the budget range at the moment, I'm going to stick with a GTX 1660 Super as the graphics card of choice. There will obviously be better things coming, but they're not available yet in this price range, unless of course you're talking about picking up second-hand cards, but we're looking at something brand new with a full warranty. A GTX 1660 Super at its price of £220 to £250. It's a pretty decent bargain for what you're actually going to be getting in terms of a brand new card. Alright, so let's have a quick look at some Time Spy high scores for a few different graphics cards, and we'll compare a few different CPUs to see how much variance there is. Now bear in mind that these are all going to be overclock scores, as they are the high scores for these individual graphics cards and CPUs. First up is the 1660 Super, which has an average user score of 6,124. As you can see from these charts, there's no major difference in these overclock scores between the 2600X all the way up to the 10900K. Next up we have the RX 5700, which has an average user score of 8,230. Once again, apart from a little bit of a wobble at weirdly the highest end, the 10900K, most of these scores are in the same ballpark, with the 2600X being on par pretty much with the highest scores from the 3900X and the 10600K. And last of this little lot is the 2060 Super, with an average user score of 8,826. And once again, from the charts, you can see there is no major disparity in the results. The point here is that they are all in exactly the same ballpark. It doesn't matter which CPU we're buying, we're getting absolutely no difference to the performance of our graphics. And that is the limiting factor. If you're buying on a budget, you should be getting a good balance of what you've got for the best possible price, which is why right now, if you buy the 2600X with a GTX 1660 Super, you're getting the best price to performance pretty much guaranteed. You're saving enough money that you can go up, instead of having 3200 megahertz RAM, you could have some 3600 megahertz RAM. You could have RGB in there. You could throw in a water cooler and overclock the hell out of your 2600X. All from that saving that you're making by not going with the popular CPU. This one that I'm recommending still has is still brand new in the box. It still comes with a warranty, and you're still getting a platform that is fully upgradable at a pretty decent price. So yes, my choice is still the same. The 2600X is the best CPU that you can buy right now for a decent gaming system. So in conclusion, if people are telling you to buy an i7 or an i9 for the best gaming results. They are correct, but only if you have got a credit card that's got no limit. If you're on a budget, the same CPU that was the king last year for me, 2600X, is still the king this year. And on that bombshell, see you next time.